Hey everybody, today we're going to be taking a look at the hardest hit ball in the StatCast era for every MLB team. Now, I decided to split my consideration into two categories: the highest exit velo on any ball, regardless of if it's an out or not, and the highest on a team's actual hit. Most of the time these will overlap, but in the cases they don't, I'll point it out. I will also be considering postseason games as well as regular. With that being said, let's hop right into it, going division by division, starting with the National League and the Braves. Ronald Acuna Jr. comfortably takes this spot with his 121.2 mile per hour dead center field bomb versus the Dodgers, a home run that traveled 454 feet on a line back in 2023, making it, at the time, the third fastest hit home run in the StatCast era. Giancarlo Stanton checks in with the hardest hit ball of anybody in Marlins history, a 122.2 mile per hour worm burner that went for a single through a shifted infield in 2017. This was, overall, the hardest hit ball of that season. Needless to say, this will not be the last time we see him on this list. The Mets bring with them our first instance of a batted ball under 120 miles per hour, as well as our first tie, as Pete Alonso crushed this single off the glove of a diving Trey Turner in 2021, then this double off of Randy Rosarena in 2020, both hit at 118.4 miles per hour. Little side note here, but Pete actually owns 18 of their 19 hardest hit balls for New York, a level of dominance on the leaderboard that's rare to find for a single team. The Nationals are the first squad that I'm going to have to call BS on in terms of their measurement, as StatCast claims that this 2017 broken bat ground ball off the bat of Adam Lind traveled at over 118 miles an hour. I think we can pretty safely put this to the side as a misread, and instead jump to the next entry on our list, James Wood, whose RBI double on this swing, registered in 2025, left his bat at 118.0 miles per hour, getting to the wall on just 3 hops despite making contact with the grass a decent ways from the actual fence. Kyle Schwarber and the Phillies are the first instance of a team's hardest hit being registered in the playoffs, with his 488-foot moon scraper registered versus the Padres in the 2022 NLCS reaching 119.7 miles per hour. It's rare you ever see that second deck in Petco get reached, but if there's anybody who you wouldn't be all that surprised to see do it, it'd be Philadelphia's hulking slugger. Hopping over to the Central now, the Brewers have their own area of distinction they bring, in our first instance of a catcher holding a team's exit velocity record, with William Contreras lasering this ball to left field versus the Dodgers back in 2024 at 118.1 miles per hour, one of the hardest hit balls we've ever seen registered by a backstop. Jordan Walker and St. Louis are the first team we're going to discuss that had their max exit velo be under 118, with this RBI single registered in 2025 versus the Brew Crew coming in at 117.9. The Cubs are actually the second consecutive team with the distinction I just outlined, as their hardest hit ball that came off the bat of Kyle Schwarber in 2019 was also under 118 at 117.6, a single that pinballed off of 2 separate infielders. Here's where the real fireworks come in, as O'Neill Cruz of the Pirates, in just this past season, set the major league record for the hardest hit, home run, and overall batted ball on this 122.9 mile per hour laser to right field that managed to leave the ballpark entirely, traveling 432 feet in the process. He would follow this up a couple months later by hitting the 5 longest homers in the entire 2025 Home Run Derby. Our second straight entry over 119 comes courtesy of the Cincinnati Reds and their young superstar Elly De La Cruz, who in his rookie season in 2023 launched this absolute tank deep into the night at Progressive Field, nearly hitting the second deck at 119.2. This mammoth blast also traveled 467 feet on the fly. Leading off our final division in the National League, we have Ketel Marte of the Diamondbacks, who labeled this ball down the left field line in 2025 at 119.6. This also gave him the distinction of being the only guy on our list so far who's a switch hitter batting from his right side. One of the least surprising entries on our list today comes courtesy of Shohei Ohtani and the Los Angeles Dodgers, as the superstar not only managed to post the hardest hit ball in franchise history in 2025 at 120.0 miles per hour on this home run versus the Pirates, but also make Alonso's dominance from earlier look like outright child's play, as he owns 22 of the top 23 spots in franchise history for hardest knocks, despite the fact he's only played on the team for 2 seasons. Just ridiculous. The Giants are certainly notable as well, though not nearly in as complimentary a way, as their all-time hardest hit ball is the first one we've seen today that actually wasn't a hit, being this 116.8 mile per hour line out from Mac Williamson back in 2016. Also giving it the distinction of being our first ball registered under 117. Their hardest base hit was off the bat of Jock Peterson in 2023, at 116.6 on a single to right field. Manny Machado brings us back into downright elite territory with his home run in 2021 coming off the bat at 119.6. Oddly enough, per StatCast, it only would have been a home run in just that one major league ballpark, being Petco, as it traveled just 357 feet at a launch angle of an astounding 15 degrees. Rounding out the National League, we have the Rockies, and our second entry in which the hardest hit ball was probably a misread, as this grounder from Carlos Gonzalez, apparently, was hit at 118.3 miles per hour despite being off the end of his bat. Pushing that one to the side, the next closest will also come from Cargo, with this one looking a little bit more the part, being a vicious line drive double versus the Yankees at 118.0 in 2016. Leading off the American League now in the East, we have the Blue Jays, and our second entry that includes both an out and a hit, with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. setting both marks within 12 days of each other. First crushing this ground ball that was turned very nicely into an out down the third baseline at 120.4 miles per hour, then rocketing a single into left field at 119.0. Both were registered in 2025. The Orioles saw Mark Trumbo back in 2017 ground this ball to the right side through a shift at 118.5 miles per hour. He's one of the more underrated entries on this list, as he holds 6 of his team's top 15 hardest hit balls, despite only managing one season with them with over 23 home runs, a year in which he led the entire major leagues with 47. The hardest hit ever registered by a Tampa Bay Ray came from a player who, at the time, was 40 years old, in Nelson Cruz in 2021. The hulking DH laced a cutter on the inner half of the plate at 117.5 miles per hour down the left field line, a ball hit so hard that a certain felon couldn't manage to score from first. The Red Sox have a player that you might not necessarily expect, as despite a number of notable sluggers since 2015, their hardest hit ball was off the bat of Franchy Cordero, an outfielder who managed just 132 games played with the team, with a slugging percentage of .350. Yet, on this fastball in 2021, he teed off to the tune of 118.6 miles per hour, with it traveling 474 feet to right center field, just missing the upper deck. Now we come to our second inclusion of Stanton in today's video, with this one being of the double variety. First being this 122.2 mile per hour twin killing he grounded into in 2021, and then this 121.7 mile per hour dinger he laced on a line to left field in 2018. You know this dude's downright elite when he's able to outclass somebody like Aaron Judge in this category. Big Christmas, Jhonkensy Noel of the Guardians holds their record for the hardest hit ball at 117.2 miles per hour, set during an exceptionally difficult 2025 season that saw the young righty perform so badly overall that he outright got released this offseason. The Royals have a double inclusion of their own, with this ground ball miraculously turned into an out from Eduardo Escobar back in 2017, after having left Eric Hosmer's bat at 118.0. Then franchise icon Bobby Witt Jr. lining this ball on a hop into left field in 2025 at 117.5. Witt, for his part, owns 3 of the top 5 marks for his squad overall. The Tigers have to be the weakest team we'll look at today, as in the entire StatCast era, this 117.1 mile per hour double off the bat of Jonathan Schoop in 2021 represents exactly 1/5 of all balls they've ever had hit at over 115 miles per hour. Ryan Jeffers of the Twins is our second inclusion of a catcher having his team's hardest hit, with this 117.4 mile per hour home run versus the Astros registered back in 2023. Interestingly, he doesn't own any one of the next 22 entries on this list, making him one of the bigger aberrations in our video today. Speaking of aberrations, the White Sox record holder is Daniel Palka, who in 2018 laced this double down the right field line at 118.4, part of a debut season that saw him hit 27 home runs. He would, however, never play in the big leagues again after batting 107 in 30 games in 2019. Our final division of the video is fronted by the Angels, and our second inclusion of the Japanese unicorn, Shohei Ohtani, who in 2022 lined this ball at 119.1 miles per hour down the right field line, bouncing over the fence on a single hop. Perhaps, unsurprisingly, even on a team that had prime Mike Trout, Shohei still holds 11 of the team's top 16 hardest hit balls of all time. The Astros have one of the oldest max velos we'll look at today with Carlos Correa, then in his second big league season, grounding this ball up the middle at 118.2 in April of 2016, seeing it fielded nicely and successfully by Scooter Gennett. Their hardest hit was a 117.7 mile per hour home run in 2023 from Yordan Alvarez, another guy who absolutely dominates his team's franchise leaderboard. The A's, up next, are notable for 2 reasons. First, they're the only team we'll look at today whose max was under 116 miles an hour. And also, they're the only team to have an exact tie on top of their leaderboard between 2 separate players, with Chris Davis first lining this 115.9 mile per hour single to left field in 2016, then Matt Chapman lining a ball out to left field during the COVID-shortened season in 2020 at the same speed. The Mariners' record is indeed officially the oldest we'll look at today, occurring on April 19th of 2015. When Nelson Cruz lined this fastball into left field for a walk-off single, the only walk-off we'll see today, and the second title owned by Cruz himself. And finally, rounding out our video, we have Nomar Mazara of the Texas Rangers, who in 2016 crushed this ball the opposite way at 117.8 miles per hour. Fun fact, the lanky lefty also holds his club's record for the longest homer ever, at 505 feet. Alright everybody, if you made it this far, I appreciate you watching, and if you did, consider checking out any of these other videos on your screen right now for other content just like this. Also, if you ever see anything you'd like to see me detail in the video, feel free to reach out to my email, basebpoet@gmail.com, and if I end up using your idea, I'll give you a shout out. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day.